Hello, I'm Simon Owens, and you're listening to The Business of Content, a podcast about how publishers create, distribute, and monetize their digital content. In today's episode, we're talking about BuzzFeed's travel vertical, Bring Me, and how it's approaching monetization. BuzzFeed CEO Jonah Peretti has expressed a lot of frustration with the large platforms that dominate our online browsing. In 2018, for instance, he complained that Facebook captures a lot of value from publishers and argued that it should share more of its revenue with them. That same year, he floated a merger of several digital media companies so they'd have more bargaining power against the platforms. And then recently he wrote a memo in which he lamented that publishers didn't receive enough credit for the consumer purchases they drive. Quote, "The two most important players in this chain are the publisher who inspired a consumer to take action and the companies that actually delivered the product. But most of the profit is captured by digital middlemen who didn't create much value." End quote. In the memo, he promised that BuzzFeed was working hard to solve this attribution problem. To get an idea of how BuzzFeed plans to solve this problem, I recently spoke to Rich Reed, its Senior Vice President of Global Content. We talked about Bring Me, BuzzFeed's travel vertical that publishes a wide range of video and text content across its website and social channels. Recently, Bring Me formed an ad partnership with Hilton, and I asked Reed about how his team designed the campaign so that BuzzFeed gets full credit for any business it sends Hilton's way. Before we jump into the interview, I want to talk about my email newsletter. If you're not subscribed, then you're missing out on some of the most in-depth analysis on the media industry that you'll find anywhere. This week, for instance, I published a long piece analyzing the New York Times acquisition of a startup that specializes in converting text articles into audio. If you're not subscribed, then you should pause this episode right now and go to simonowens.substack.com to sign up. But don't just take my word for it. Here's Paul Sondy, a product manager at a New York tech company, explaining why he enjoys my newsletter.
I find the roundup of the media news really helpful. There's a lot of content out in the world, so curation is really something that's important to me in terms of what comes into my inbox, and I think you do a great job of that. There's also your articles, which are generally in my wheelhouse, so business, media, tech. I think especially a lot of your content around YouTube has kind of opened my eyes to how big that market is right now for independent creators. And I think we're seeing a lot of companies like Substack is really the best example that are empowering individual creators. So you're an interesting person to read about or to read from because you're one of those people that's creating that content. And then you're also covering kind of the folks on YouTube that are doing that, as well as new publications and new startups that are popping up.
Who do you think would be kind of like the ideal type of person to read my newsletter?
Yeah, I think anybody that recognizes the impact media has on just society as a whole, and is interested to learn why and what kind of the levers that are being pulled behind the scenes are. Because ultimately, these companies are all businesses and have profit motives. So understanding what drives, leaning into advertising or leaning into subscriptions, things like that, I think better helps folks understand, all right, if a company is attacking a market in a certain way with a certain business model, these are, the likely outcomes in terms of the content that they're creating and the impact they're having. And then that aggregates into a much broader impact on society as a whole.
Again, if you want to subscribe, go to simonowens.substack.com. That's simonowens.substack.com. Okay, now on to my interview with Rich Reed. One thing I want to note first, we recorded this interview several weeks ago before the current worldwide travel restrictions were put in place, so that's why we don't discuss the coronavirus during the interview. Okay, now on to our discussion. Hey, Rich, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you're a senior vice president of global content for BuzzFeed. That title sounds pretty impressive. What does that entail?
I think it's a more fancy title than the reality of what I do. No, I sit across our content and operations for all our international editions of BuzzFeed across branded and editorial work. And I also lead our travel and experience brand, Bring Me.
And so is that like an editorial role? Is that a business role, or is it a little bit of both? Like, where do you fit in terms of that ecosystem?
It's a bit of both. In our international offices, we have stellar content teams that operate across both branded and editorial and affiliate work. And so, it's a combination of the two.
And I was looking at your LinkedIn, and it looks like you've moved up in the company very quickly and done well there. Where did you kind of evolve at the company? Like it seemed like you started as kind of like a producer. Were you always working for the Bring Me brand, or was that something that you kind of grew into?
I wasn't. It was something I grew into. I joined the company working as a executive producer across our branded video efforts based in New York. And I think the expansion of the role has really come about because of the evolution of the company. After I worked in branded video for the US in New York, we decided to launch and quickly expand our advertising efforts in our international markets. And so I was given the opportunity to lead that expansion. And then obviously we work in the digital space, in social media, where things change at a rapid rate. Our company has evolved a lot over the last few years, the years that I've been at the company. And so sort of rolled with the punches and taken on more responsibility as opportunities have opened up.
And you came came to the company from like the film and television space?
Yeah, that's right. I was in sort of traditional entertainment before BuzzFeed. And really, I looked at kind of what was happening in the digital space, particularly with social media and particularly with BuzzFeed, and the speed, the flexibility, and ultimately the impact that brands like BuzzFeed were having in the space and in entertainment was incredible. And so it was quite an attractive space to move into. I think also with traditional entertainment, audience behaviors were shifting rapidly when I was working there, and it was leading to this what felt like a continual lack of creativity and innovation, trying to just double down on what it seemed was working, and then suddenly they would realize those things weren't working. Distribution was becoming harder to get, funding for projects was becoming harder to get, and then sort of looked over to into the digital space and saw that social was this new amazing place where creators, audience, and commercial partners, advertisers were all kind of converged and all sharing the same platforms and doing incredible things. And it just seemed like so much opportunity was there. And a lot of the pain points that were in the more traditional entertainment world were not really being felt in the digital and social space. So that's when I made a move.
And I'm guessing the lead time for like a television or film project is like something like 2 years, whereas I'm guessing it was exciting to work for a company that was more nimble than that and could like experiment and throw stuff out there, all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was unbelievable, really, the speed or the speed that BuzzFeed does operate and did operate back then. Not only from sort of seed of an idea through to publishing a piece of content, but also the feedback from audience, how real time that is unbelievable. So you really are learning, and you really are testing and improving and iterating with everything that you do. It's it's a very rewarding space to work in, and that sort of stuff was not on offer with traditional entertainment.
So tell me about Bring Me. Like, what is it, and when did it launch?
Yeah, so Bring Me is our travel and experience brand here at BuzzFeed. It's a franchise that sits across multiple social platforms and has its own place on BuzzFeed.com website. Where it came from, to be completely honest, was a little bit of an accident. When I say it was an accident, it was never really an intention for us to take a big, bold step into the travel space, the travel content space. Instead, the first signs of Bring Me really came from typical innovation at BuzzFeed with some of our video teams. And innovation for us is usually a cocktail of spotting a platform or technology opportunity mixed with strong audience insights, and then a strong creative why for exploring or testing something in the first place. And Bring Me came about when Facebook, video consumption on Facebook was huge. We had seen, or in the middle of seeing, enormous growth of our franchise Tastee through video on Facebook. And videos were short. people were choosing for the most part not to watch those videos with sound on. They were inspiring or useful, kind of eye-catching videos. And so we had a fantastic team of video producers that went out and did some coverage of some kind of exciting or unique locations in New York and Los Angeles. So, quirky bars, that sort of thing, and edited them into a very visually pleasing and exciting format. And we just saw an incredible audience response. Not only did these videos get huge amounts of views, the share rate was massive as well. So people were choosing to connect with their friends over these pieces of content, usually saying, "Hey, I never knew this place existed. Let's go." Or "This is a great plan for Mother's Day or our next date," or, something to do at the weekend, whatever it was. But that audience response was really the signal that we needed to see to show that we were onto something. And so we doubled down. We had video teams trying to unearth like some of the most exciting destinations around the world and around the cities that our offices are based in. We saw the audience response just continue to grow. And so we doubled down, launched a brand. And we also looked at the general opportunity. Our data and research team found out that 70% of millennials are looking to spend their money on experiences over material goods. And then the stat that really popped out for us was 83% of those people are looking for unique experiences. And we realized the more unique, the more eye-catching the destination that we were covering, that we were featuring, the better the response. And so that's kind of how we've anchored our whole kind of content strategy for Bring Me. It's going out and finding unique destinations that people didn't know existed, or kind of putting a unique lens on maybe destinations that they know about or feel they know about. So if we're not uncovering great gems that people didn't know about, we might be offering a new itinerary or an alternative list of things to do in typical tourist destinations, and using a lot of our standard kind of BuzzFeed learnings from our editorial work on both the website and our social video to inform the best frames that we use for the content. An example would be Las Vegas. Las Vegas is obviously a huge tourist destination for international travelers, not just for people in the US. And there's an abundance of content out there telling you what to do in Vegas. Well, we produced a video that was titled "Things to Do in Vegas If You Hate Las Vegas." So it was a sort of refreshing lens on the things to do format, and it was hugely successful. Turns out a lot of people don't have much love for Las Vegas, and we presented really cool things that a lot of people didn't know that you could do there. And not only did the content perform incredibly well, the small businesses that we promoted or the activities and locations we promoted in the video saw a real spike in custom as well. So it's pretty cool result.
How is it staffed? Like, do you have journalists spread out all across the world? Like, if you're doing something about like the hot air balloons in like Cappadocia, Turkey, or something like that, like, are you sending a staffer there, or are you hiring a local stringer? Like, how does that work?
We have a lean and mean team that's dedicated to Bring Me. That is, we've got producers in the US and also in our international offices. And for the most part, we're trying to shoot or produce the written content ourselves. But we do occasionally leverage freelancers to go to certain remote destinations or places that are harder to get to. But for the most part, our content is produced by our in-house teams.
Do you feel like you're a video first vertical? I mean, I know you have a lot of text-based content on the main website. What's kind of your leaning in terms of like where you're putting most of the emphasis?
We try to strike a balance, really. I mean, Bring Me definitely, the spark for it came from video, as I said, on Facebook. But now we're cross-platform. We have a presence on and a large engaged audience on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. BuzzFeed.com, as I said, has its own destination within that for Bring Me. And we're even experimenting with some other platforms, TikTok, Pinterest. But yeah, I mean, and sorry, we also share a weekly newsletter that's packed full of fantastic tips and itineraries and inspiration content. And we have community groups as well dedicated to certain topics. So we're cross-platform, and we try to strike a healthy balance between written content and video. We sort of see the brand of Bring Me performing three main roles in our consumers' lives or our audiences' lives, which would be inspiration, and typically that's happening across video in a highly visual way, popping up on people's social feeds. Utility, and we're seeing a lot of consumption of our utility content on our website. Again, great travel diaries, itineraries, things to do for certain events or at certain times of the year. And then also entertainment is the other job that we perform, and a lot of that is happening with our more narrative, talent-driven content on platforms like YouTube.
Yeah. So like what is the difference in terms of the distribution strategy for like YouTube versus Instagram versus Facebook? I was watching your YouTube channel. You have some like YouTube style long shows. Like there was one where you have an actual host who surprises people with like very large versions of food, like huge, humongous sushi or ramen and stuff like that. Are you designing different content for different platforms, and how are you going about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, all our content is optimized for the platform. We don't believe in a sort of one size fits all approach. I mean, we take it very seriously how our audience uses different platforms, recognizing that social media at its best is when you provide the right bit of content to the right consumer on the right platform, the place they want to consume that sort of content. So we do have different strategy per platform, but everything feeds each other, and we cross-promote content, and we learn from platform to platform and learn how to continue to optimize for where we're delivering content and to who we're delivering it to.
And for like Instagram and Facebook, are you doing kind of like the Tastee model of thinking, okay, this consumer is probably going to see this while scrolling through the feed, so we want to make this as entertaining as possible. If there's no sound, so you're getting a short video with like maybe some text overlay to explain what they're looking at. Like, is that how you're kind of approaching the Facebook and Instagram stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to make consumption easy for the viewer, and with all the content that we make, we're trying to go beyond just grabbing eyeballs and just getting views on a piece of content. Like, we want it to play a meaningful role in people's lives. So if we're showing them great destinations around the world, that's in the hope that that'll be useful for them, inspiring for them, and they'll ultimately go to those destinations, go to those places. And with the content we make, with the brand as a whole, I should say, we very much see it as a travel and experience brand, not just simply a travel brand. The places that we're presenting don't always require an airline ticket or a long car journey or a hotel room to go and experience. These could be things just around the corner from you, great new lunch spots that you never knew about, a great date spot to try at the weekend. So it's not just about travel. And so we're trying to be very accessible with the content that we put out. And that even comes down to our creative approach when filming destinations that will be featured on Facebook and Instagram. We're not trying to tap into aspiration like so many travel brands do. We're trying to be quite immersive with the content that we make. So our producers go out with friends or as a group of friends themselves, and they enjoy these different venues. And you can see that in the video. You can see them enjoying themselves. And as a viewer, you can sort of picture yourself in that destination with your group of friends yourself. And so, we kind of see it as taking you to a destination before you actually go, because the content really reflects what an experience at that destination looks like. And then we overlay text to give the kind of key information that people might want that isn't possible through the actual filmed live action, and we try to keep it short and snackable as people as people's preferences suggest that on certain platforms, or if it's a platform where people do dwell for longer and want to watch longer, more narrative-driven content, then that's what we produce there.
Well, are you posting longer videos to Instagram TV?
We are, yes.
And do you see any benefits there, or are you just kind of throwing it up there just in case it takes off? Like, is there anything you're getting from that you're not getting from YouTube?
We're seeing great in engagement from the longer form content we're putting on Instagram. I mean, with platforms, we try to leverage all the different opportunities there are on that platform. So the Bring Me account on Instagram, you have in the main feed, you'll get short, inspiring videos, as well as the option to click in for longer IGTV content. And then on Instagram Stories, we're bringing most days of the week, we're publishing stories from our producers in different places. You can see behind the scenes. You can see, you can kind of live vicariously from a music concert that they might be at, or a great restaurant that they're at, or a Harry Potter land that they're experiencing. So there's a few different ways that a few different types of content we're publishing, and we're trying to leverage all the opportunities that a platform gives us.
And you're seeing some good click through on the for the longer form videos from the main app to Instagram TV?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What about Twitter video? Like, I'm noticing some creators are really starting to emerge on Twitter video. Like, I'm seeing a lot of good like sketch comedy and stuff like that. I was looking at your Twitter feed. It variances. You have a few with a lot of views, some just with a few thousand. Do you feel like there's like a real audience there for video?
I mean, I think there's a real audience there for video. We have not prioritized it, to be honest, for Bring Me. Having said that, we haven't neglected it either. We do publish our content there. But for BuzzFeed as a whole, Twitter is an incredibly important platform. And obviously, we've had a daily live show that's been aired on Twitter, our AM to DM news show. And so, yeah, Twitter is very important to us. For Bring Me, as our brand continues to evolve, we're always assessing different platforms and how best to use them and how best we can serve our audience. And so I'm glad that we have a presence on Twitter, and we'll keep watching it.
And for the stuff published to the website, like, do you find that Bring Me draws more Google traffic than most of the other BuzzFeed content because people are incorporating it into their travel research?
To be honest, I don't know the answer to that. We do see search being a result of people consuming our content. We also see Apple News being a great traffic driver. Flipboard being another one. So there's a few different ways that people are ending up on our site. Obviously through our social accounts as well, we're driving people back there. An exciting place for us is actually Instagram, where we're seeing a lot of traffic back to our articles on BuzzFeed.com coming from Instagram, which is kind of interesting because it's a multi-step process to get there. Yeah. But it's still acting as a big traffic driver.
Yeah, you guys have like a landing page where you can click through from the profile and then easily match up the image from the Instagram post and then click on that. You find that does pretty good. That drives pretty good traffic.
It does, yeah, and it's increasing, so it's exciting for us.
Mm-hmm. So the reason I got connected to you is because BuzzFeed's PR people were kind of pitching me to talk about the monetization part, where you guys are doing partnerships with brands. From a monetization standpoint, is the site mainly monetized from e-commerce?
Well, Bring Me as a whole has diversified revenue streams and ever-growing revenue streams, which is exciting. So we work with advertisers and sponsors. We're making platform revenue. We have an affiliate business that's growing. So the monetization comes in a few different forms.
Yeah. Well, like, it's impressive. Some of the stuff that BuzzFeed does in terms of how it works with brands, like there's the standard affiliate advertising approach where you're just throwing up some Amazon links and stuff like that. But you guys are doing deeper and deeper partnerships where you got in some, I don't know if you do it for your vertical, but in some verticals, you guys are actually working hand in hand with the brand to actually create a brand new product and sell it in some ways. How does your team work with brands?
So when it comes to brands as a whole, I mean, BuzzFeed and Bring Me offers a wide range of sort of solutions to their advertising needs and ways to partner in exciting in exciting ways. I mean, we've got product options from turnkey to much more bespoke. And we've had some incredible campaigns to date. I think one thing to flag is even though we're seen as a travel brand, our partnerships are not at all, totally endemic to travel. We've worked with partners across all of our advertising verticals here, from auto to tech to CPG. So that's very exciting, and we're also seeing global business. We're seeing because it is a travel brand that's presenting exciting destinations all around the world. We've had a lot of interest in our international markets for partnership there. I think something that is exciting news for us in 2020 is our new partnership with Hilton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell me about that.
Which is, I mean, it's a new sort of partnership for us, and I think really it's a new sort of partnership for Hilton as well. But Hilton have come on as the exclusive global hotel partner and official title sponsor of Bring Me, and it's a partnership that sees bespoke content made for Hilton. Editorial content being sponsored by Hilton. It's seen a refresh, a redesign of our bringme.co website, and it also has a large affiliate partnership as well. And I think it's for us, our affiliate business has been an incredibly exciting space over the last few years, and we kind of see ourselves as being a bit of a pioneer in affiliate opportunity. Since 2016, our business has grown 900%. And I think what people at BuzzFeed like Jess Probus and Neela Ali have done with their teams in that business, particularly with shopping, with retail, is pretty amazing. And so this Hilton partnership is giving us an opportunity to evolve our way of working in the affiliate space even further and test the opportunity with travel, which we see as kind of the big next thing.
So tell me about like some of the bespoke content that you're creating for Hilton. Like how is it being pulled together? How are you brainstorming it? What are you creating?
Well, I mean, our mission at Bring Me is to always serve our audience and create really exciting, useful, appealing content showing you great destinations around the world. And Hilton is a brand that has fantastic hotels all around the world. And as I said before, what we try to do with our content is not just cure boredom or not just fill a few minutes in people's lives and just get eyeballs on a piece of content, but actually inspire them or help them to take action. And so what our objective is with the Hilton partnership is really to take people full funnel, let's say. We could look at it that way. Like, we'll inspire people through the content that we produce, and then we'll serve up the opportunity to directly book your accommodation through Hilton as part of that piece of content. So when we're looking at video content, we're delivering videos of exciting, unique destinations in different places where there are Hilton hotels. And through our written content, we're also inspiring people on different destinations and different itineraries and offering up information on different Hiltons in those areas.
So you'll be creating an article about skiing in Colorado or something like that. And it won't really be much about Hilton, but because you're trying to inspire people to go skiing in Colorado, you're somehow having a call to action or something to the effect that would steer them towards using Hilton when they book their trip.
That's right, if it makes sense. We've built a credible and trusted relationship with our audience, and we'll always protect that. And so we're not trying to force anything, but if it makes sense and if it's of use to our audience to offer up accommodation suggestions, and that's including Hilton destinations, then we'll do it.
And is it hard to do the attribution aspect when you're working with other platforms like YouTube or Instagram or something like that, and getting that credit when someone books that Hilton trip?
Yeah, I mean, I think attribution is a big issue in the publishing industry as a whole. And I think, maybe you've read that the BuzzFeed sort of announced plans to try to fix the long-standing attribution problem. I mean, I think the two main challenges publishers face and audiences face is attribution and then convenience. If you take travel, for an example, Bring Me could publish a really inspiring a video that's really inspiring and makes you want to go visit a certain destination, and then that audience member goes, the audience member goes to a search engine to try to find out the best deals, and then from there might end up in another place, and then ultimately when they go to purchase their accommodation, BuzzFeed as the publisher that inspired you is not getting perhaps the credit that it deserves. And ultimately, depending on where the accommodation was booked, it might be the accommodation provider isn't getting as much credit for the booking. And so what we're trying to tackle is these digital middlemen and trying to create a direct bridge from the piece of content to the service that's provided. It makes it a more convenient journey for the consumer, and it also means that there's the sort of fair attribution to the main people in that consumer's journey.
And is it like what's the secret there? Like, is it creating some kind of offering that you can't get through Google that like they really would want to use your website to do it just because like they can get 10% off or this special experience or something? So you're incentivizing them to give you that attribution?
I think it really comes from the convenience piece, and also providing content that's truly useful for the audience member. I think I keep using the expression audience member. I've never done that before. It almost sounds like there's a theater full of people.
Yeah.
For the consumer, I think some of the studies we've done show that, as I said, millennials, Gen Z, want to seek out new experiences, want to travel, but they identify the kind of planning element and discovery as one of the big hurdles in their way. Obviously, price is another one, but there's this feeling that there's an abundance of options out there, that discovery is really difficult. And a job that we feel that we have at BuzzFeed, or a duty that we have with the scale that we have, is to curate the internet and to find the very best out there for our audience. And that's not the best in our opinion, but the best based on the insights we have about our audience and the communities we provide content to. And so our job as curators, let's say in the travel space, is to help people find the stuff that they're really looking for. And we can be far more effective than search engines for that, because we approach it as social experts.
So if I'm understanding correctly, like if the normal journey for users, they read an article on BuzzFeed about an experience, then they go to Google and Google it and find something on Expedia or whatever, or something through Google, and then book a hotel or whatever the thing is. You want them to skip that middleman step. Like you want them to go directly from whatever the BuzzFeed piece of content is to the actual booking itself.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Because we've done the hard work for them. We found the best deal, or we found the thing that's the best option based on the preferences that they have. So they don't need to go through search engines and all these different planning steps. We've created a bridge that jumps over that, and not only inspires the consumer, helps with the consideration element, and then right there provides the opportunity to book and convert.
Do you think brands care where the sale is coming from? Like, do they have incentive to where they want to go through BuzzFeed rather than Google?
I believe so, because I think in Google, it's the highest paid result that people are probably going to be clicking on for when it comes to the search engine results. So I think more and more brands are trying to speak to the right consumers for the product they offer. I think there's more every year. There's more of a shift to be consumer focused and individual focused, rather than just trying to appeal to the masses. And I think through working with a publisher that has the credibility and has a highly engaged, loyal audience, and also has an audience that is broken down into specific communities where certain people identify, or certain people have shared passions and shared interests, brands are going to be far more effective if they can directly speak to those communities with messages relevant to them, or options relevant to them, or products relevant to them, rather than just trying to shout as loud as they can to the masses or hope that their results pop up from a search.
BuzzFeed is famously trying to, get more headway in Hollywood, selling series to places like Netflix, but also even cable networks and stuff like that. Is the Bring Me brand focused on any of that, or are you guys mainly focused on traditional internet?
No, we are definitely looking for opportunity in what we internally tag the sort of studio space. So content being exported from social platforms onto linear TV. And so we're looking for opportunities for that with Bring Me. Bring Me has appeared on television in some TV commercials. We've also had some of our talent appear on some shows on TV. And with everything we do at BuzzFeed, we're always looking to evolve things if it makes sense. So we're excited, and we're exploring that space.
Okay, Rich. Well, those were all the questions I had for you. Where can people find you online?
Me personally?
Both you and anything else you want to plug, if you want to plug Bring Me as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would highly suggest people go to bringme.co, which will redirect you to the BuzzFeed site and the homepage for Bring Me on that site. There's incredible content there. Again, entertaining, inspirational, and useful content. And also the newsletter, as I mentioned before, has really killer stuff in there that's very timely with certain topics or certain trends that we're seeing. And if you want to dive deeper, our ever-growing community groups are a great place to share tips, tricks, travel advice. And we're proud of how interactive we are. The team that work on Bring Me, how interactive we are with consumers that are within that community, or community members in that community. So there's a few different places to find us.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. This was a lot of fun.
Great. Thanks very much. Thanks for the time.
Okay, thanks for joining us. I'm actually on the lookout for new guests for this podcast. So if you do interesting stuff in digital content, whether you're a full-time YouTuber, a media executive, or run a cool niche newsletter, definitely reach out. My email address is simonowens@gmail.com. Okay, see you next week.